Hey there, how's it going? Alex here with Higher Hertz, and today we are taking a look at a very interesting, unusual, and incredibly cool bass from Ibanez. This beautiful instrument is the Ibanez EHB1506MS. This is a 6-string bass that, as you can already tell, has a very unusual configuration, has some very, very cool features. So we're going to go over all of those, kind of the build quality, talk about how it plays. We're going to play it a little bit for you guys, show you what all the electronics do, and talk about why you might want to own an instrument with some of these admittedly very unusual features. So obviously right off the bat, you can tell this thing looks absolutely wild. We've got a couple of things going on here. First of all, this is a headless instrument. So where you would normally have a headstock and tuning machines up here, that is obviously gone, and we actually have our tuning machines down here in the bridge. So you actually tune the instrument by turning these little knobs down here at the end of your saddles. It is also a fan fret or multi-scale instrument. Now there's a couple of reasons why manufacturers do this. The first is that based on the tension and kind of note that you tune each string to, there is an ideal scale length to kind of bring that string to optimal tension while still letting it play its correct note or correct pitch. And it also helps with the tempering and intonation of the notes as you move up the fretboard. And so here we have a 35-inch scale on the low B string, and then being a 6-string, we go all the way up B, E, A, D, G to a high C string where the scale length is actually 32.5 inches, which is a fair bit shorter, 1.5 inches shorter than most 34-inch scale basses. Now, again, they do this because each of those scale lengths, 35 on the low B going all the way down, kind of progressing down to 32.5 on the C, it just helps with the intonation across the neck, and it helps the tension of each string to feel a little bit more consistent than it would on sort of a standard scale or standard fret, non-multi-scale instrument. So that's the first big advantage with playing a fan fret or a multi-scale. Now the second big advantage is ergonomics, and that is actually in the name of this bass. So this is the 6-string version of a whole line of basses called EHB from Ibanez, and EHB is short for ergonomic headless bass. Now Ibanez's whole sort of design philosophy around these basses is about them being easy to play, easy to carry around, super lightweight, and incredibly just conducive to being able to get around the instrument and play it very, very comfortably. Because it's headless, the balance is absolutely gorgeous. You can just let it sit right on your lap. It's not diving anywhere if you have it up on a strap. It's incredibly easy to keep the neck in any position that you want it in. It's not going to have that headstock dive that some like Fender style basses have that makes them a little bit tricky to play. You got to kind of support it with that left hand. Not an issue here. With this fan fret design, if you think about the human hand, and you see me actually do this, when we go up and down the neck, we're not doing this, right? We kind of have to on normal instruments, but if you just do it naturally, you kind of do this, and your fingers follow a sort of radial arc, if you will. And so as you can see, as I do that, if you look at how the frets align with my fingers, you can see it makes it incredibly easy, and you have to do a lot less weird kind of wrist kinking and stuff, especially when you get higher up on the neck and you start to do some chordal work. It puts all of the frets, even down on those lower strings, in a slightly more natural position for your hand to access. Now, some other things about this EHB design, if we take a look at the bass flat on, you will see that we have kind of this unusual curvature or sort of angle here on the back that really helps it hold cleanly and easily against the front of your body. And the whole sort of cutout, the high access is amazing. You can get all the way right up here to that 24th fret if you ever need to. Very, very easily without running into the body or anything. The body's very small. It's partially chambered, which means that it's a lot lighter than a lot of other basses. This whole thing is incredibly light and feels very nimble and agile. Overall, it's just an incredibly comfortable and ergonomic bass. We also have this great ramp right here, which can serve as kind of a middle thumb rest. So it gives you a lot of different playing positions for your right hand, which is awesome. So overall, the bass feels great. Obviously, Ibanez is known for really beautiful, high-quality instruments. This is no exception. It really feels like a custom shop build in a lot of ways. But beyond that, we have an incredibly cool electronics configuration going on here. So And space is active passive, so we'll take a 9-volt battery. You also have this really fantastic locking 1/4-inch jack, which when you plug it in, it cannot be pulled out until you depress this little red tab. This is great for being on stage, and if you're moving around a lot, you're rocking out, you accidentally step on your cable or something, you're not going to pull it out on accident. It's going to pop out the other end, so if you are playing a bass with one of these locking things, just make sure that's not going to cause any problems. But once that cable goes in there, it is going to stay in that jack no matter what until you depress that little tab. But in terms of the electronics, it is active passive. As I said, we have our sort of active passive switch here. We have, as you'd expect, a volume pot, a pickup blend pot, so obviously all the way, we turn it all the way this way, we're going to be on our neck pickup, all the way this way, bridge pickup. And one thing that I love about all of these pots is they are detented in the center, so you can feel that little stop there right in the middle. This is especially great on your blend pot because you can get it right in the middle of the pickups, or you can very carefully dial anything in between. Moving on from there, when the switch is down, the bass is in active mode, and you have a really cool EQ setup in active mode. On our sort of bottom stacked pot here, we have treble on top, and then we have bass on bottom, so you can boost or cut those treble, real high frequencies, or you can boost and cut the real low or bass frequencies. This, though, is my favorite. This is a sweepable mid, or what we could call a semi-parametric mid EQ. So we have the volume for the mid here. Again, these are all detented, so you can feel where that middle spot is. And then this bottom one is actually a frequency sweep, which gives you some incredibly cool tonal options, and you can hear that if I just play a string open, turn up that mid, and I start sweeping through these frequencies, you'll hear exactly what it's doing. Now, I absolutely love this feature because you can actually take that mid boost, or cut if you want to cut, and you can sweep it around in the frequency range. So if you're playing in a venue, let's say, and you notice that there's a real honky, weird kind of room mode or something that's going on in your mid range, you can dial that in perfectly. So if there's one note on the scale that just because the dimensions of the space is jumping out more than the other notes or feels kind of hollow, you can actually compensate from your bass by dialing in this mid sweep EQ. And beyond that, it just gives you a ton of versatility in your tones. You can do little low mid bump, high mid bump, low mid sort of contour kind of thing, and just get a lot of tonal variation out of the instrument. But the fun does not stop there, because when you switch it into passive mode, what was your treble pot, right, this top pot on this bottom stacked set of knobs, that becomes a passive tone control. So you turn all the way up, and it's just like on a jazz bass or a P bass, that passive tone control. You turn this all the way up, and it's like that's wide open. Turn it all the way down, and it closes it off. Now, this in particular is another feature that I just absolutely love, because I do love kind of classic vintage basses, jazz basses, P basses, passive instruments that have that tone pot. It rolls off the top end in a really unique way, particularly great for fingerstyle playing and getting great funk tones and stuff like that. And so you kind of have the best of both worlds in this bass. You have that super kind of flexible active, with the sweepable mid and all this stuff to dial in some really modern active tones. And then you can pop it into passive mode and get that passive tone control and really have kind of a whole second set of more kind of passive old school tones to play around with. And speaking of playing around with tones, let's go ahead and take a listen to a couple. So right now we are in active mode. Let me just make sure here. Yep, we've got everything totally flat. So treble is in the middle, bass in the middle, mid's in the middle, and we have the pickups in the middle. Just a quick note, my strings are a little bit dead, as I think are most bass players' strings, so we're not going to get super, super bright, fresh string tones out of this, but it'll still give you a good idea. Right? If we roll it all the way to the neck position, that nice, rich low end, roll it all the way to the bridge position. This is my favorite tone. Really nice, burpy, kind of nasally sounding. But again, you really start to have fun when you can start maybe boosting a little bit of the treble. Boost it all the way. Another thing that I like about just kind of the sort of gain ranges that they put on these particular EQs, even if you push it all the way, it's not totally over the top. I mean, it's definitely going to make your sound super, super bright, but it's not so much that it's like harsh or it's going to hurt your amp or blow people's ears out or anything like that. Same thing on the low end. Let's bring up the low end a little bit. We're right in the middle here on the pickups, by the way. And then let's play around with this mid. So let's go for kind of a low mid boost. Pretty cool, right? Or we can go for more of a high mid boost and maybe go to our bridge position and roll off the top. Nice kind of a modern jazz tone, if you will. So you've got a ton of versatility there, but again, going into our passive mode, turning that tone pot or the treble tone pot all the way up so that we kind of have an open tone knob on a passive bass, put it back in the middle. Neck pickup, passive mode. A little bit more P bass-ish. Bridge. Very jazz bass-ish. And then we put it back in the middle, we roll off that tone pot. It darkens the tone, but not nearly as drastically as it does in that active mode. So obviously, as you can see and hopefully hear, you have such a vast, diverse array of tones on this bass. And I think that's really its best selling point, honestly. I mean, it's built great, don't get me wrong. You know, take a look at the back, I forgot to show this a moment ago. It is a bolt-on construction, so you can get slightly shorter sustain. And it's actually a 9-piece neck. We've got I think it's a Penga fretboard, which is kind of a cool exotic wood. Like, it's built great. Nordstrom dual coil pickups in here. Build quality is awesome. But what's even better than that, to me, is the versatility of this electronics kind of setup. Is it really, you know, if you're a studio player or a live player, it really doesn't matter. A lot of times if you're on a gig, playing on a record, whatever's going on, you need access to a ton of different tones. And this bass gives you that. You can get really convincing kind of older school P-bass, jazz bass type sounds in the passive mode. And then you kick it into active and you get that really gorgeous, growly, very modern kind of Ibanez sound with a ton of variability to it with those different EQ controls. So overall, I absolutely love this bass. It's also super reasonably priced for an instrument with this feature set. Retail, these are going for $18.99, and that is about mid-2023. They have been out for a couple of years. I personally have owned this one for a couple of years, but they are releasing new kind of variations on the different models all the time. They have 4-string, 5-string, 6-string versions, a variety of different finishes. They have a few sort of shorter scale versions. I know they have a shorter scale 5-string that's like I think a 32 down to a 30-inch multi-scale or something like that, so it's a little bit more compact, even more lightweight. It's just a very cool range of basses overall. Now, if you are somebody who needs a ton of different tones, like I was just saying, this is going to be a great bass for you. If you're somebody who really likes an instrument that stands out and is striking and is going to be kind of a conversation starter at gigs and stuff, this is going to be a great bass for you. If you're somebody who struggles with any kind of physical conditions, so maybe you've got some issues with muscle tone going on or something like that, you need something that's really lightweight, something that's really easy to bring around, that's a lot lighter than, say, a big heavy old jazz bass or something like that, this is going to be a phenomenal instrument for you as well. If you play a lot of different styles of music on a consistent basis, like I do, you know, I'm going from playing on country stuff to playing on jazz stuff to playing on hard rock, like kind of all over the place here in my studio. This is going to be an awesome instrument for you because it can get all those different tones. And if you're somebody who's looking for a really gorgeous, you know, kind of custom featured instrument at a really reasonable price, this is going to be an amazing instrument for you. as I'm saying this, I'm trying to sit here and think of a reason why you wouldn't want to buy this bass. I think the only person who wouldn't want to buy it is somebody who would look at it and go, that thing's way too crazy for me. I hate how it looks. I don't need 6 strings. That, you know, it might not be the right bass for you in that case. But regardless, it's incredibly versatile. It's gorgeous. It's really, really well made. Oh, one other fun thing, we do have strap locks, Schaller strap locks that come pre-installed, which is kind of cool. Overall, it's an awesome, awesome, awesome instrument. I love it. I play it all the time. And yeah, if you're interested, definitely check one out from Ibanez. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Have you seen these EHB line basses? Have you played one? Do you like them? Do you like multi-scale or headless instruments? Let me know in the comments down below. We would love to hear from you. As always, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell to be kept up with our videos going into the future. And yeah, other than that, thanks very much for watching. I'm Alex with Higher Hertz, and we will see you in the next one.